Welcome back to Brainstorm MTG. I'm ELD, and this is Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering, now from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. So that is my new shop here, and we are supporting Legacy big time. We've got weekly events every Wednesday night at 7 p.m., and we're going to be doing monthlies as well. So if you're in the area, I'd love to have you down to play with some of the best players in New England. So Jared here on Maverick, Brian on Food Chain. Actually have not seen Jared in quite some time. Knew him from back in the day, back when New England had a very strong vintage scene. I believe he used to play Survival of the Fittest and Legacy as well. Those days have long since passed, and now he is on Maverick, which, you know, can still have a bit of a toolbox in terms of creature options, but certainly not the ability to repeatedly tutor them up like Survival gave us. And here we go, fetching, grabbing a basic forest. This is our first week back, so expect this to improve. Hopefully the commentary, but certainly the video footage and audio as things get owned. Mox Diamond getting Force of Will, pitching Baleful Strix, and then Scavenging Ooze coming down anyways. Jared Jedi mind tricking Brian there, perhaps making it seem like Mox Diamond was going to be the must counter. We'll see if he's got a fistful of lands, really punish that play. Baleful Strix, a very important card in many matchups to let go. We have Creatures Trading, a Tireless Tracker, and Brainstorm. Now, Tireless Tracker will threaten to take this game over, given a little bit of time, just a little bit of resources. And that starts to really kind of gain momentum downhill. And he does have the Abrupt Decay right away, so no clues, no advantage gained. That's about as clean as it gets. Tireless Tracker, a very messy card. A lot of the times you can force a situation where you play a fetch land after resolving Tireless Tracker, and then when they respond, at some point with removal, you can crack the fetch, getting 2 clues and really pulling ahead with a 3-for-1. And it looks like Depths coming down along with Thespian Stage. So Maverick perhaps not the most accurate name here. He's got Dark Depths combo jammed in along with Tireless Tracker main deck. I mean, this is going to be a very interesting suite of threats to handle. It looks like it can be very explosive, but also has potential to be very grindy. So we'll see what Brian is able to do here. Manipulate Fate, setting things up here for infinite mana. But he's going to be facing down a 20/20 next turn. He's going to need a 1-drop and a 2-drop in his hand. See if he draws into that with Manipulate Fate. I think we're just going to see a 20/20. There's the Birds of Paradise. I believe that's Birds of Paradise. That will be a blocker. We're going to see infinite mana next turn. All right. All right. This is interesting. So we've got the Scourge into the Mist Hologriffins. Can he finish from here? There's the Scourge, there's the Mist Hologriffins. And perhaps Fierce Empath into Emrakul. And that'll do it. Food Chain finding a way to win in face of a 20/20. So well played there, Brian. That Birds of Paradise really dying for the cause. Taking one for the team, but well worth it. That 1 extra turn, all that was needed. And actually is able to tutor up the Emrakul and finish the deal. No, even if he wasn't able to do that, that Miss Hologriffin situation was still very, very dicey. So Jared would have had to have some way of breaking through where Miss Hologriffins each turn could be used to block and then sacrifice to the food chain, removing them from the game. As long as they're not dying, you know, it's almost impossible to kill them at that point and end up with them in the graveyard, because you can just sacrifice them to the food chain. So even if you had an effect that could destroy them, like an assassin's trophy, they can just sack it in response. So those guys are going to be coming back repeatedly and making excellent blockers. As long as he has a couple of them, he can swing with both, whatever gets through, sack, replay, and essentially have a form of vigilance there. So yeah, they're very problematic for decks that are trying to use the combat step. Those Miss Hologryphons, once it gets to that point and food chain is out, the deck is very, very difficult to derail. Really kind of, most of the games end, with an Emrakul or a Walking Ballista or, Tidespout Tyrant, something really flashy and destructive that just ends it on the spot. But there are a lot of games where food chain in the hands of a good player can grind out and make it very, very difficult to make any progress on board. See what Jared does going first here. So we've seen Mox Diamond along with the Dark Depths combo. And Green Sun Zenith. So he does in fact have a toolbox similar to Survival back in the day, but not probably not quite as good. Does provide a little bit of mana ramp, which is nice. So Dryad Arbor on turn 1. And I see a Chalice over there. Not as punishing versus food chain as many of the blue decks. Still very good. Not going to lie. Not the ideal card for food chain to be playing against. But compared to many of the blue decks, I mean, really all of their win conditions are not really in any way influenced by Chalice. Manipulate Fate doesn't get hit. So certainly could be a lot worse. There are many decks that have an incredibly difficult time versus that Chalice. Food Chain, not one of them. And here we see a great 2-drop, Baleful Strix. Incredibly good card in the deck. Of course, drawing you toward your combo. Very disruptive card versus attackers, taking down things like Gurmag Angler, Delver of Secrets, pretty much everything in the format. Has to be afraid of that owl. And we've got Force of Will. Looks like pitching Mist Hologryphon. Wasteland cutting back on Brian's mana. Now he does have a bunch of basics. So in the future he'll likely to be able to tutor them up. And there is a 3-mana card. I'm not sure the name of it. It looks like it destroyed an artifact when it entered the battlefield, taking out the Strix. And more Force of Wills. This time pitching Shardless Agent. Not drawing lands, so got to be drawing something. It looks like it was permission. That life total dwindling down here. Now Brian down to 10 life. Facing a significant clock. Just a few turns left, and he's going to pack it in here. See what he can do in game number 3. Let me know in the comments the name of that gold creature there. Looked like it might have been a green and a white mana. I'm not sure. Looks like it was from one of the new Ravnica sets. I've not kept up with all the new releases as I used to. Have been very busy getting this new store up and running. We've got a grand opening this weekend, February 22nd, 3rd, and 4th. If you're in the Bellingham, Massachusetts area, feel free to come on down. The first 50 customers are going to be getting one of these limited edition. See if we can have that show up on camera. Limited edition pins that I am crafting myself. That is an oil and wax finish on black cherry wood. And the only way to get those will be at this grand opening. There'll be very few, anything left over will be available for trade or sale, but there's a very limited amount for this